Was good, people? Listen about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. So, Kenzie Morrison, Tommy Morrison's son, obviously, for those who don't know, he's heavyweight. Now, I don't know if he's campaigning at bridgerweight or heavyweight. What's it going to be? So, he basically signed a new deal with Lou Dibella and Tony Holden. So, they gave him a nice little comeback, little package that I saw. And I don't know how well he's going to do. The last time we saw him, he was beating Hassan Rahman Jr. So his only loss is to a guy named Robert Sims. Now, I don't know much about Robert Sims at all. I don't know too much about Kenzie Morrison as far as his career. Like, why I watched some of his fights, and he's not someone that I tune in to watch or like regularly just get into. But his record, he's like 21 wins, 1 defeat, 2 draws, or 18 knockouts. Of course, this isn't against stiff competition. Now, how will he do? I don't know. I'm not going to compare him to his dad, which is pretty much what most people are going to do naturally, which is really unnecessary. He has no amateur background whatsoever, no amateur fight. So he basically got in the gym, started training, and came straight to the pros. So he's 33 years old. I don't really expect much, but we'll see. And I don't like to put limitations on people, but this is a situation where, looking at where he's been, look at what he's done so far, and at his age, we'll just have to see where he goes from here, see what he looks like. Because personally, when I watched him fight Hassan Rahman Jr., he was pretty much losing that fight. Hassan Rahman Jr. he's below decent. Okay. Kenzie wound up getting a late stoppage, but he's below decent. He was, getting outboxed by him all night long. In terms of elite level fighting, this is what probably will happen, is they'll probably try to move him against low level competition, make a lot of comparisons, a lot of talk about his dad, try to, put video packages together to get some attention towards him. I don't know. Now, is he going to be a part of like a misfit type thing? I don't know, because Lou Dibella's involved. I've never known Lou to be a part of something like that. And I'm saying that based on this, because even with this bridgerweight division, we saw Hassan Rahman Jr., who was getting ready to fight, Jake Paul. That didn't go well. Then he went to fight somebody else, some big 300-pound guy that I don't even know who he is. And I think they said he played some other sport or something. I don't know. He lost to him. And we haven't heard a peep from Hassan Rahman Jr. since then. So looking at the level that Kenzie Morrison was on, he hasn't been in the ring since then. So we don't know what he's looking like. We don't know. So with that being said, take his father out the picture, out the equation as far as comparing the two of them. It's not fair. We've seen Chris Eubanks and his father being, compared, and it's just not. Nigel Benn and his dad. It's not about comparing to them and seeing if they can live up to their standards. It's just them being able to do what they're capable of doing. And for Kenzie, he's been, I'm not going to say overshadowed. He just never got to the point, where he could actually get that popularity from because he beat top quality opponents. He hasn't had that. And if Hassan Rahman Jr. was the best opponent that was on his resume, then that doesn't say much. So when I say I don't expect much out of him, it's not to be negative. It's just, we'll just have to see. But I just don't see at 33 years old from a guy who has no amateur experience that he's just all of a sudden just going to come out and become a world beater. So this is what I'm saying. If they can talk him up enough to get people to like really care to see him fight, and they can move him the right way, that could work for him. But overall, my skepticism comes from, like I said, his age and the level that he's been on so far. For him to like really surpass that, he's gonna have to fight better competition. I mean, at 33, when does he peak, right? How long does he have at that point? If he was already a bad man and just needed some sharpening and things like that, that would be one thing. But it's almost like he started from scratch, looking at the level that he was at. So we'll see how things go, because if they put him in there with the right guy, and let's say he goes in there and he gets an astonishing looking knockout against someone, set him up to fight guys that he can destroy, and just make some noise about him. And I mean, because this is what people do in sports and entertainment in general. They try to sell you to be better than what you are. And in this way, when people get to see you, they give you the right opponent. If the fight goes the way it's supposed to, yeah, people start to believe in the hype. Now you get in there with someone that basically beats the brakes off you, and they may not even be elite level, but maybe you're in a position where you've impressed people with some wins that you had. So if they decide to come to the conclusion, this guy's a bum, or and like the first thing they're going to say, oh, he's not like his dad, or whatever it may be. His father was beating up, knocking out a lot of guys, not so much top level guys. And his first loss was against Ray Mercer, and it was like a brutal knockout. I think it was like third round. So yeah, I mean, Tommy never reached that stardom that he was trying to reach. And, he basically had respect, and he turned some heads, was in the Rocky V movie and all of that. But I mean, just based on boxing alone, he was in a better space than where his son is. And at this age, at 33 years old, Tommy was younger. He was much younger when he started to really get that name. And win, lose, or draw, I mean, Tommy did get in there with some of the, elite level guys, regardless to win. Like, I mean, he did fight Razor Ruddock. He did wind up fighting Foreman, and, other people. But there's guys that we didn't get to see him fight, like Evander Holyfield, for example. The situation with the HIV thing happened and all that. But just saying, I don't want to compare him to his dad. That's, I just saying, looking at where his dad was, that's automatically what people are going to do. So his father was in a better position than he was at a younger age than what he is now. Whereas, and right now too, who could they give Kenzie Morrison that he could fight and win and look good against? I don't see him fighting a Jared Anderson and winning. I don't see him fighting a Frank Sanchez and winning. I don't see him fighting any elite level guy or a guy close to that yet and winning. So I don't think he's ready for that right now. And that's the thing. He's 33. So when will he be ready? Just my thoughts based on this, because I saw him and I said, you know what, let me just let's talk about Kenzie for a minute, But overall, I just think that he's doing what he wants to do. He's got a new deal, like I said, with Lou Dibella and this guy Tony Holden, and I don't know where it takes him, But me looking at him for what he is, I don't really see Lou Dibella and this guy Tony Holden putting him in there with guys that he shouldn't be in there with. At least initially, that's what you think. How it actually plays out is what, we'll end up seeing. I don't know how many people are really interested to see Kenzie fight. In fact, when he fought against Hassan Rahman Jr., there was no real talk about it. I just happened to see the fight. And when I watched it, I said, okay. Then the next thing I know, Hassan Rahman Jr. is about to fight Jake Paul, and it was like, okay, when you're fighting guys like that, you're not going to be taken serious in the real boxing world. But again, it's different. well, to the purist, let me be, to the purist, to the, casuals, they don't know the difference between a world class boxer and a guy that's just a novice, or a guy that's barely even a novice, not even what you consider a novice yet. You got guys that just putting on shorts and gloves and watch boxing and think that they can fight. Now, Kenzie, I feel like he takes it serious, that he wants to become a great fighter. He wants to make the big money. But I feel like time isn't on his side for the skill level that he's at right now. And, you know, especially like, people think like in heavyweight boxing, or talk about how one punch can change everything. And you got to understand too, this is a guy who's not a good boxer. Him and Hassan Rahman are both, below average fighters, both of them. So, we'll see how he looks from here on. And basically, if he's improved any. I'm all about the real fights. I'm all about just the sport itself, just combat sports. I'm down to watch a good fight pretty much any day of the week. But at the end of the day, it's the type of thing where looking at what's out there, I mean, there's plenty of guys they can put him in there with that really isn't that good. But if they talk him up right, like I said, they can get people's attention. And because Tommy Morrison is his dad, maybe they can talk him up to the point where he ends up, looking good until he have his Ray Mercer moment. And I'm just being real about it because I just don't see big things from him. But I do, from what I've seen of him, I can respect his personality and him wanting to be in these big fights, and the fact that the guy doesn't have any amateur experience at all. you know, it's a lot of basic fundamentals that he doesn't have. That explains why he's so green, why he has what 20, 23 fights total, and he still looks green. If you watch him fight, he looks like a guy that's like, maybe 3 or 4 fights in. But we'll see how things go. And listen, man, I wish him nothing but the best and salute to him. But just looking at what I looked at, I just don't see him progressing um significant enough where he'll be in there fighting even an F.A. Ajaba, you know, um, or Daniel Dubois, any of these guys. I just don't see. I mean, fighting them is one thing, winning is what I'm saying. And I think all the elite level guys knock him out. And, you know, I I just don't see it. I just don't. But he's trying. He has a new deal, so it's something that they see in him, right? So this is where I'm saying I feel like for namesake, they're thinking like what I'm saying now. We can do some things and we put him in there with against the right guys, build his story up enough, his profile up enough. And this is what I'm saying. Maybe they even put him in there with some of these misfit guys that have a following. Because all he has to do is go in there and beat one of those guys, which now that shouldn't be hard for him. You understand what I mean? Because even though him being at the level he's at, he's still more advanced than those guys. So, if he gets in there with a guy that has a name, because remember, he was calling out Jake Paul as well. And that's another reason why I said I don't know if he's fighting at Bridgerweight or whatever, because Hassan Rockman Jr. is campaigning at Bridgerweight and he fought Morrison. So I don't know if Morrison is coming in full fledged heavyweight or this Bridgerweight thing. There's no names at this Bridgerweight weight class that nobody talks about. If you're talking about big guys, over 200 pounds, you're talking about heavyweight guys. You don't hear any Bridgerweight names being talked about. If you're fighting as a Bridgerweight, it's the same as being a damn cruiserweight in this era. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe guys like Oscar Rivas who may still be around. I'm not sure. Certain guys that may still be there that they've even faded from what they were, because Oscar Rivas never really accomplished anything, but he had some hype behind him. He was getting a following. So I don't know, like, what they have planned. They want to dig up some guys that once at least had buzz, to put him in there with and help him to look better. I don't know. I don't know. But I doubt very seriously that they expect big things out of him by sticking him in with the Sharks right now. And yeah, when you say the name Kenzie Morrison, it doesn't ring bells. So yeah, we'll see how things go. And I'm not at all saying that I even approve of somebody just trying to build up someone to be better than what they are, just to set them up for failure. But that's all I can really see them doing, is building him up with this and putting him in against the right guys. And if he looks devastating, it will turn heads. And it's far more casuals watching this sport now than purists. So that would put him in a position where, yeah, maybe a Jake Paul ends up fighting him. And so it's like, hey, man, we can help you make some money. We can help each other, but we have to have a plan, and it has to play out exactly the way we planned it. So you're in a position where that big money fight does happen. Like, that's what I see. That's what I see. I don't see a 33-year-old guy with no amateur experience who is basically a D-level fighter being able to all of a sudden become a B level, definitely not an A level. And pretty much, I mean, it's difficult to become a C level fighter for a lot of fighters. People look at the guys that make it, but look at how many don't. And that's what people don't understand. And you look at guys' records, and they're fighting guys who in their career 30, 40 fights in, but nobody ever really talks about them. And you got to understand, like, yeah, these guys got losses. These guys that got wins beat these guys. Nobody's talking about their opponents, just the major guys. So they do something like that with him, he can make a splash, you know. But again, all the way up until he has his Ray Mercer moment, and if he actually is moved the way that I'm, thinking that they probably will move him, you guys that watch this video would look back and go, "Damn, Aries, you was right. They did put him in there with some guys that wasn't worth shit." And I'm not saying that to knock the guy. I'm just being real, And then he looked good against those guys, and then he finally got in there with an F.A. Ajaba, or Daniel Dubois, and he put him to sleep. Just saying, But we'll see how things go. Anyway, tell me what y'all think about Kenzie Morrison in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hate out of people, and I'll catch y'all on the next video.